Following on from the end of the season and the 2-1 home defeat to Lewes, we've got chairman Steve Phearson with us. Steve, sum the season up for us.
I think we did well this season. I think considering the injuries we had at the start of the season, the suspensions we had at the start of the season, the expectations from 2 great seasons, we did really well. Obviously we had a patch from about November up to January where we lost quite a few games and didn't play too well. Having said that, with the side that Dev's put together now, and it was so pleasing to see so many youngsters come through, so many reserve team come through, we done well. And to finish mid-table or just below half, I think we did very well.
It's been well documented throughout the season and the budget cuts we've had this season. How's that come about and how can we rectify it?
Well, it come about a lot because obviously we are in a recession. The club do try and commit to every bill that we get. We don't try and do things beyond our means. We pay everything we can. Obviously the weather didn't help us. Not having home games for a good 4, 5, 6 weeks didn't help because there's no income. And at the end of the day, I've always said that there's no one bigger than the club. The board, the playing staff, the management staff. At the end of the day, the club still have commitments it has to make outside the normal football that you see, and therefore we as a club don't want to put ourselves in the position that you read every day in the newspapers that football clubs are going into administration, owe the bank money, owe the inland revenue money, etc, etc. We as a club try and do things the right way, and the only way of trying to keep to our commitments was to cut the budget. It's the last thing I wanted to do, but the biggest expense in this football club is the players, obviously, and the biggest expense we had to try and cut the budget. However, one thing I would like to say on record, that Alan, through this tournament at West Ham, has committed that he will repay the players a good 75 to 80% of the money they lost. So when you say the budget's been cut, the players will get their money back at the end of the season they lost through that tournament that Alan's organised. So that's great credibility to Alan to do that. So there's a bit of a grey area whether the budget was actually cut.
Obviously, throughout the season, I mean, players have got the mortgages and obviously families to feed. They've signed contracts. You know, they were possibly budgeting to have that money during the season rather than waiting for it until the end of the season.
No, I understand that, and look, it's the last thing I wanted to do is to, yes, they've got their commitments, we've all got commitments, but as I reiterate, the club have had to make commitments to outsources, and when I got involved in the club had so much debt it was ridiculous, and we're still paying for that 2, 3, 4 years, and things every now and then still pop out, skeletons still come out the closet, and that's something that the club, when I got involved in the club 2 years ago, we had a blank piece of paper, then we wouldn't have had to cut the budget, full stop. We're paying for things that the club committed to in 2003, 4 and 5, even 6, that shouldn't have done, and therefore we're paying for it now. And that's why, from my point of view, we will pay within our means. And if that means we can't have a star centre forward, if that means we can't have 3 or 4 superstars and we have to look for the youth and reserves, then so be it. Is the way I look at it. We've committed a lot to this club since I've been here, with the ground improvements that we've done, the new stand, floodlights upgraded, dugouts, the pitch, probably arguably the best pitch in the league. Of looking at all the games we've been to, I would say our pitch, even now at this stage of the season, has been the best pitch in the league. So with those commitments, I think we've done very well as a club.
Okay, and looking ahead to next season, how do you see us going there?
I think next season will be another challenge. Again, I've got to talk to Alan about the budget, which is something that I'm going to sit down with him in the next week or so to go through. It'll be a budget that will be probably nowhere near some of the other clubs in the league. However, I think it'll be a budget that, once it's worked through, Alan will work with, and I hope he works with, because we all love Alan here and we want Alan to work with that. I think he'll have a few old experienced heads in the side, but a lot more youngsters and people coming from the reserves. Bit of new blood into the team, but that's Alan's call. He organises all the playing side, but I think we'll have a good go at it again. It's a bit of a real rebuilding exercise, I think, next year.
Okay, and as basically as getting the revenue in, obviously we've only got a certain amount of people who can get through the gates here. How many other avenues is there to explore financially?
Well, obviously we're hoping to have a better pre-season than we did last year in the friendlies that we get, and again that's down to Alan with the sides that he can bring in, which will bring in revenue. We're looking at some additional sponsors this year, as well as finding a couple of new directors to help out on the board. We are to try and generate money off of companies and sponsors is very difficult because money is tight at the moment, and the gates that we get have been very good, but we just have to try and work within our means, and that's something that we're working towards. And it's good that we have so many volunteers here and so many people that do good jobs like you guys, the stewards and everything else like that, help the costs that we don't have to outlay, and therefore the income coming in is income which we want to basically maximise and put to the playing budget and our overall operational costs.
Okay, cheers. This season we've had Brian Barrett, former head of the FA, involved in the club. Is he going to continue to assist, and what actually does he do in the involvement of the club?
Brian is a director on the club. He's Hampton through and through. He's a local guy. His experience and his knowledge has been excellent for the board. He's helped us. Brian's going to have a think whether we can commit to the level that he wants to for next season. He's just set up a new business which has taken up a lot of his time. It's sports related, football related, and therefore to commit to the time at Hampton Football Club could be difficult for Brian. So again, that's a conversation I'm going to have with him in the next week or so. He has brought lots of things, good things to the club, stability, his name and everything else, which has only helped to the profile of the club, and that's very good of Brian doing that.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much for your time. It's great talking to you. Have a great summer, and we'll see you again in next summer.
And you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.